Thank you for coming. Thank you for sticking it out for 3 very, very intensive days, I would say. Whole lot of information that's been available to people here. As I said, we have some policy paper on dog bites here that's in its 2nd edition that was just completed last year, which sounds as if it would be inconsistent with the title of this presentation, but you have to realize that you're looking at a person who wrote a book called Dogs Bite, but Balloons and Slippers Are More Dangerous, and that was the title only because everybody talked me out of calling it Dogs Bite, Get Over It. Okay, so that gives you just a little bit of an idea of the bias that you may be dealing with here. But I'll try and make very clear distinctions between points where I'm talking about things that are my opinion or my read on something, and things that I can absolutely verify in the science. Okay, so with no further ado, that's just me. You can see me, okay? Okay, so objectives for this talk. I'd like you to go away with this, at least with some things to mull over with regard to thinking about what aggression really is, what it means when we use that word. I'm beginning to be of the opinion that the word itself has almost outlived its usefulness. Okay, John Paul Scott said this in, I think, 1963, something like that. He said, "This is a pretty useless word, and we should stop using it because we have no precise definitions. We don't really know what we mean by this. Everybody means something different. Let's stop saying it." Like many, many, many wise and brilliant things that he said, no one has paid any attention in the last 50 or 60 years. But still. Okay, and then to talk about both my opinions and what I can support more objectively in terms of how you make decisions about when aggressive behavior in your client's dogs is something that you need to be concerned about and deal with. Okay, it's not a given, and I can give you some very strong reasons why that's not simply a given. So I'm going to start with so we're calling this putting aggression in context. Again, my bias is transparent here. A growl is not a slippery slope to assault, but I can demonstrate that. So I'm sure you know what I'm going to say about this at this point is agonistic behavior pathology or normal behavior? Most of the time, the vast majority of the time, dogs that express fear and agonistic responses to threat are normal. Every once in a while, around the margins, there's always the tail on the bell curve. Every once in a while, you'll encounter one where the behavior you can assess the behavior as so extreme that no, I can't call it normal. Okay, but that's not the whole answer to our dilemma here, because the behavior can be normal and still be a big problem for us. Okay, it can be something that occurs. I would submit to you that it's both normal and most of the time isn't a big problem. At least doesn't meet the criteria that I gave you at the beginning of the talk for when is this a big problem. Okay, so the appropriate framing of the behavior for the pet owner, this is what I'd suggest to you in your practice, is normalizing. Always normalize. Okay, always normalize. In other words, and by normalize I mean explain the behavior so that the client can see that whatever the dog is doing makes sense from the dog's point of view. That's what I mean by normalizing. I don't mean that you need to give them statistics on how often the behavior occurs among the species. What I mean is that you need to make sense of it so that the behavior doesn't seem arbitrary to the client. So the client isn't thinking, is my dog insane? Okay, he almost never is. I think I've met 2 dogs in my career that I really thought were okay. There's something really wonky in the software there, and I've worked with a whole lot of dogs. Okay, so what kinds of interactions with human beings in particular are dogs fairly commonly going to see as threatening? Okay, and this is by no means an exhaustive list, but these are really kind of common things that dogs see as threat. And the first big category is I think you're going to hurt me. And the dog doesn't necessarily have to have had previous experience of having been hurt in these situations, but there's something about that topographic that looks, the dog's saying, I don't like the way this is going. Okay, remember that the dog in the video had a much stronger response in the second little bit of the scenario than she had in the first bit. So in the first one, she has a quite mild low key response. So she's kind of talking shorthand. In the second one, it's more, I really don't like the way this is going. Okay, I need to speak up.